came out of Parliament House and Scott Morrison made an announcement that mandates were over and borders were open, what would be your reaction?
Yeah! We're having meetings before any of you move. I'm sick of it.
Canberrans are used to their city being generically blamed for the problems of the nation.
The texting scandal engulfing the federal government.
And they are used to the periodic arrival of hordes of out-of-towners who want to argue about things, often most aggressively with people in their own camps.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has attempted to downplay brutal personal criticism.
The past few days have seen a new level of chaos in the national capital, with a group of protesters with a very mixed set of grievances bringing parts of the city to a standstill. The grievances may be with federal politics, but it is the locals who have borne the brunt of it. And with Parliament returning this week for one of its last sittings ahead of the election, we are seeing a government and Prime Minister on the ropes, according to the polls, that is also trying to move forward and set the agenda amid a myriad of distractions, own goals and obstructions.
As we go into this parliamentary week, there are many important matters that we'll be addressing. One of those we'll be addressing very early on is the issue of opening up our international borders to international visitors again.
We're committing to ABC and SBS funding for the coming 3-year period.
Rapid antigen tests for work-related purposes will now be completely tax deductible.
And there are the issues that the government has decided it doesn't want to talk about.
We're juggling a lot of things. Inevitably, there are choices and trade-offs that need to be made.
So are you saying that the federal integrity bill is just not a priority for the government? Is that what you're saying?
Has been delivering a Federal Integrity Commission this term been a non-core Morrison government promise?
The term is not completed yet.
Today we got confirmation that Australia's borders would be opening to all visa holders much faster than the Easter timeframe the government has been touting for some time, on February 21, as the government continued to escalate the pace of announcements which tick off the political and economic problems it faces.
In Cairns in particular and in far north Queensland, that area of the country is more dependent on international tourists than any other part of the country. And so I know they'll welcome that.
And finally, amid a workforce crisis in aged care and a rising toll of illness and deaths, news that the military would be brought in to help, despite earlier protests by the Prime Minister that the Defence Forces could not just be brought in to solve all the problems in every workplace. The government has other priorities in these 2 weeks of Parliament, including its religious discrimination bill and anti-trolling legislation, though divisions within the coalition raise questions about the future of the religious discrimination legislation.
I hope I haven't ruined your shot.
No, welcome back.
Thanks so much.
But none of this has quite dominated the headlines over the past few days, as has the political soap opera of leaked text messages. First, there was the claim, not denied, that former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian had called the Prime Minister a, quote, horrible, horrible person in a text exchange with a federal cabinet minister, and that this still-serving minister had called him a complete psycho.
However,
And then, late on Friday afternoon, the revelation of a text message forwarded to Brittany Higgins in which the Deputy Prime Minister described Scott Morrison as a hypocrite and a liar from my observations, and this over a long time. I have never trusted him and I dislike how he earnestly rearranges the truth to a lie. Given that there is now a reasonably long trail of prominent people giving the PM unflattering character references, including the French President, a former Prime Minister, a former New South Wales Premier and now his Deputy, most of the attention has been on the colourful language Barnaby Joyce used. With the PM's credibility now a central point of attack, that's where the politics has focused.
The dysfunction and the dishonesty and the disunity is meaning this government is paralysed in taking the action that really does concern Australians. Issues like aged care, which is in crisis.
But let's also contemplate the context of the message. Brittany Higgins received this message at 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time on Monday, March 22 last year, just as a Four Corners program outlining what had allegedly happened to her was ending.
The Prime Minister has said that the man who was with Brittany Higgins was terminated due to a security breach. What's your response to that?
what was the security breach? Because the night that we were on shift, there was no security breach.
The PM was facing intense questions at the time from a sceptical opposition over his insistence that he had known nothing of this until the story had broken.
Speaker, as I said this morning, I became aware of the alleged sexual assault at about 8:30 yesterday morning. That is true. That is when I became aware of it, Mr Speaker, and the first that my office became aware of an alleged sexual assault, I'm advised, was on the 5th of April of this year. Sorry. No, the 12th, I'm sorry, I've misread that, apologies. The 12th of February 2021. That's when my office first became aware, I'm advised, of an alleged sexual assault.
Barnaby Joyce might feel a little aggrieved that a text message he sent aimed at supporting someone has now ended up being used to damage both him and the PM. But he had, after all, demanded last week that the minister who had called Mr Morrison a complete psycho should out themselves.
Tell me about text messages.
For now, the government wants us to focus on its photo opportunities and on the good news that's out there, including economic data today which showed retail sales rising a record 8.2% in the December quarter.
We've got a job to do to ensure Australians stay safe from COVID, but there is some good news out there. We've started to see the number of cases, ICU admissions, as well as people on ventilators come down. It's what the health experts were telling us. The kids are back at school. Australia's fared better than nearly any other country on earth during this very, very challenging time.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.